This video will show you the only strategy you need to hit $200,000 per year in private practice. And we've used this strategy to help several therapists in the last 12 months to do this, to hit $200,000 per year. It breaks down into 3 simple steps. And once you understand them, you will be able to implement them and start getting clients on autopilot without begging doctors for referrals. And that's going to allow you to get 2 to 5 new clients every single week, which will allow you to hit multi-6 figures in your private practice. It all starts with this, being a premium practice. Okay, I'm going to break down exactly how you can use this to hit $200,000 per year in your own private practice. The first thing we're going to talk about is packaging. The reason I'm going to start with this before I sort of walk through the exact system is that this is a core foundation that allows our system to work. Okay, the reality is it's just math to make $200,000 per year, to make $100,000 per year. A lot of therapists come to us making $40,000 or $50,000. So what we do is we develop a business plan and we develop the math to get them there. Okay. And it starts with understanding your pricing. So packaging, the reason I like to say premium practice is that a lot of the therapists that we've helped to hit $200,000 per year are charging $200, $250, $300 an hour. What this means is, I'll break down sort of the pricing real quick, is if we're at 20 sessions a week times 150, we're at about 140,000 a year, about 12,000 a month. If we're at 20 sessions a week times 250, that's going to be about 5,000 a week. That's $20,000 a month, right? If we're consistent about that for 48 weeks a year, we're hitting 240,000 in our practice, simply because of a big change in price. Okay. And usually what this means is you're going to be premium. Okay. So we'll cover more of that in a second. All right. The second aspect, second pillar is going to be our system. This is going to be advertising. I'm going to break this down in depth in this video. And the third and final is going to be service delivery. Okay. The quality of your service. So again, if it's hard for you to read, packaging, advertising, and service. When we get this all going correctly, we're going to be able to build an incredible private practice. All right, let's go into the first. All right. This is packaging. When I say packaging, what do I mean? We help our clients do something called developing their core message. What is that? We are trying to attract best fit clients, the ideal clients, the clients that can afford the rate that we set. If you want to hit 200,000 a year, I'm going to recommend you're at least at $200 an hour. And a quick note on that, because I had this conversation with a client a couple weeks ago. Any price you charge is made up. $150 an hour, $145 an hour, $95 an hour, $200 an hour. They're all made up. Okay. If you have difficulty jumping from 180 to 200, these are all ideas that you have in your head that may or may not be reflective of reality. I really believe in something called market rate, right? So looking at what other people around you are charging and not being the lowest, right? But maybe being in the middle or at the top. If you're going to try to make $200,000 per year, usually you have to be more towards the high end. I've got clinicians who I work with who are in Northern California, where the average rate is sometimes $250, $300 an hour. So charging $300 and being a quote unquote premium practice is actually more like the norm for people who have a lot of expertise. We need to have the right math and pricing model first. And then when we have our packaging, it's going to correlate with that, right? It's all going to round together where we have the right pricing and we also have the right messaging to attract those clients to us. Okay. So when I talk about core message and ideal clients, that's what I'm basically speaking to. Being more of a specialist, being known as someone who is really good at what they do. Part of this is being really good at what you do, right? And clients talking to each other. But the other part of this is purposely packaging yourself in a way where that's reflected in terms of your marketing. I can't tell you how common it is. I'm going to put down digital presence as part of this. I can't tell you how common it is that clinicians we work with have really, really bad websites or really not that great pictures, right? And your picture says 1,000 words. Your website says 1,000 words too. We want to make sure those words are something that reflects the brand you want to display out. Okay. So in our branding and our color scheme and the messaging, we want it to be coherent and consistent, right? This is what makes people comfortable with spending more on getting care for themselves. So I would recommend across your professional photos, across your website, across your directories, you give off a premium appearance. No matter what your rate is, it's better to look great on the internet. It's better to invest a couple $100 to get a photographer to take amazing pictures, because thousands and thousands and thousands of people are going to see them. Okay. And this gives you the ability to attract whatever type of clientele you want. Okay. But we want to make sure that the way we present ourselves is in a way that people are willing to pay us what we're worth. Okay. That's the core of the packaging. Right. So I'm going to really walk through this as well, which is practice design. If you want to hit $200,000 in a year, like I said, it's math, knowing the type of clientele, let's say work weeks, sessions per week. You're going to have expenses in your business. So if you want $200,000 per year in income, you might need to make something like $225,000. So that equals something around $20,000 per month. And again, that looks like $250 a session times 20 sessions in a week. If you have less expenses, then that can be $200 per session, which we see a lot more commonly than $250. But you have to actually sit down and do the math first as we're building out our system. Okay. $200,000. All right. That's our packaging. Now I'm going to break down advertising. This is really the tool that we most commonly use that helps this work for clinicians, because the reality is it's not so easy to get what we sometimes need, which is 50 clients, 100 clients over the course of 2 years, right, to come our way. But advertising is what makes it possible. So what do I mean when I say advertising? Primarily, we're doing Google or sometimes Instagram. Right? We will run Facebook ads. We personally run tons and tons of Facebook ads ourselves for our business, but we often use Google with clinicians. Why? Google is the place where people generally trust the most the direction on how to find a therapist, right? People tend to go to Google when they need something. They need a dentist appointment or a doctor or a therapist. They tend to trust that resource a lot, where Facebook or Instagram tends to be more a want, right? Tends to be more interruption-based advertising and more get a six-pack, make more money. That's generally the difference in the platforms. So we usually use Google for therapists, right? We're usually, when I say that word need, we're trying to match the needs of the market that's already out there. If we're in, I like to use the example of more rural Arkansas, sometimes it's harder to have a higher premium rate so that you can hit $200,000 per year. Your cost of living might also be way lower, so it might compensate for a lower rate. We have to look at the actual demand that's already out there and try and match that. So if you're following me, all that we're doing with advertising is we're putting you in front of the people that are already looking for you, okay? They're already looking for someone like you. So we're usually gonna go with Google Ads as primary channel. Okay, I'm gonna try to break down this system for you right now. How does this work? Again, if you've been following me for a while, I like to use math because we can talk conjecture all we want, but math is ultimately going to be the proof for whether or not this can work for you. So the math of this is we want to be able to get, let's say 2 clients a week. As I said at the beginning, sometimes up to 5 clients a week. The reality is, if you can retain your clients, you usually don't need more than 2 clients a week for yourself, especially over time. A lot of times it's much less. My business partner runs a super successful solo practice herself in addition to her group practice, but she's not getting more than 2 clients a week because she can't take them on, because she keeps her clients and her clients want to keep coming back to her. Whether or not she has time, they're continuing to request time on our calendar. Okay. So we need to be able to generate 2 clients a week. What would I recommend looking at for that? We want to build a system, ideally, that can generate us clients for less than $250. Okay. If it can generate us clients for less than $200, that's great. We often can get people clients for $100 or less. $250 is really great for our cost to acquire a new client. And then we want to do the math of how much we make per client. We're at $250 an hour and people stay for 20 sessions. We're making $5,000 per person on average. Some people might stay for longer than 20 sessions. Okay. What are we doing here? With this system, we're turning $250 into $5,000. That's what the advertising is. And it's very high level. I'll break this down for you a little bit more. But the whole point with advertising is we're basically arbitraging the cost to get in front of somebody with the amount that we make for that person. This is also why I started with the packaging, right? If we're only charging $50 a session, we're doing short-term, brief solution focused therapy for 5 sessions, we'll only make, $250 working with the client, which means after the actual amount of money it costs us to get the client, we're not making anything. We're just spending our time to get nothing back. So we need to make sure there's a fair match between the cost to get a new client and the amount that we make. In this example, what is that? We make basically 20 to 1 on the money that we spend on advertising. So for every dollar we put in, we make $20 back. And if this client who pays us $5,000 refers 2 of their friends because you do such an amazing job, then that $250 in initial advertising is worth a heck of a lot more. Okay. So this is how the system works. So I'm going to talk about how do we get new clients coming in for less than $250, a lot of times $100 or less. A couple of main principles here. We're going to talk about the ad. We're going to talk about the landing page, LP. We're going to talk about the phone. This is really what the system is. There's going to be multiple different aspects of what it takes to be successful with this system. You need to be good at every single part, right? We're going to set this up. You need to be good on the phone. We can't just get people that are interested in working with you and you don't know how to speak to them, right? You need a system for that. You need to be confident in how you communicate about what you do to potential clients, right? If they haven't been following you for a long time, you need to be able to, in some ways, give a little bit of a pitch for why you do what you do, how you think about things differently than other people. All right, so let's move over from left to right. I'll walk you through all the aspects that make this system up. Number 1 is the ad, okay? Important here are a couple of things. The thing I sort of said at the beginning, which is about packaging. It's about helping people to address a need they have, helping people to solve a problem they have. You want to be explicit in helping people to achieve better outcomes within their lives, right? When we think about advertising, we want to think about matching the work that you do to the demand that's out there. So I'm teaching Google Ads to therapists all the time. And I always talk about whenever we're setting up a new campaign, we want to make sure that we are advertising with enough volume of searches that we can actually make our account successful. So what does that mean? So for example, therapy near me is a very general, vague term. You can get a lot of high priced clients off the back of that, but a lot of times we might want to be a little bit more specific in our targeting to get the higher priced clients, or a little bit more specific in the location that we're targeting. Basically, targeting is, say, controls on the audience that's receiving your advertising to try and benefit you in terms of only getting in front of people who actually can become your ideal clients. Okay, so that might mean, again, just targeting the location around you. It might mean for some of my clients working only with men, or for other clients working only with EMDR. This is the foundation of your system, right? Is I work with this type of client, and so I'm building my messaging, my branding to reflect that, to appear very high quality, very professional. And in my advertising, I'm also going where they are and in terms of what they're searching already. So what are people searching? This is where we're going to do something called keyword research to figure out what they're searching, okay? Or contact someone who's good with Google Ads who can just kind of tell you what the general searches are. The whole point of this is there are very common words that people type in every single day to Google. And if you want to figure that out, you can try and search for someone like you yourself on Google and see usually what pops up as first results or suggestions. That'll give you some ideas for, what people are already looking for. From there, we want to put those keywords into our ad campaign. Okay. So in future videos, I will break down like what to do within the ad campaign. Right here, what I'm going to say is you need to put positive keywords in addition to negative keywords. You're telling Google what you don't want them to show your ad for, which will help to dial in the targeting towards our best fit clientele. So that's the basics of our ads. We are going to write ads. A lot of times we're going to say stuff like, looking for EMDR or EMDR therapists in Austin. We'll try and take our specific work that we do and put that into headlines, subheadlines, put images, basically set up the ads within the Google ad campaign. Again, it's better if I'm sharing my screen and showing you how to break that down. There's a lot of things that will show you how to sort of break down in your account, the initial setup. From there, when we have the ad account set up, I'm going to do budget as well. We usually like to have a budget somewhere between $300 up to $800 a month, $500 a month. It's a good sort of mid tier for this. And again, I said, we're getting clients for $250. This could potentially only get us 2 clients a month, right? How well we set up our ad and our landing page can drive that cost down. And it can make it so that we actually get clients for $50, $100, $150. Okay. But a budget of $500 a month to start is great. Cool thing about advertising as well is, let's say we can get this ad to be working and we're getting 2 clients at $250 each, in a month's time. What that means is we could double the ad spend to $1,000 and we could expect to get 4 clients in a month. And if 4 clients makes us 20 grand and we spend $1,000 on it, that's still pretty good, right? And we can improve that and get more clients for that same spend. So ads are a knob that we can turn up or turn down over time. Let's go into the landing page. This is really, really important. And when I do the work within ad campaigns to help clinicians get more clients, I'm looking for some key things that I'm going to talk about here. General sort of landing page. This might have an image right here in the background, and then we'll have a headline and a subheadline. Okay. Usually our subheadline is something like therapy in Montana, therapy for, high performers in X, Y, and Z, right? Our headline is usually something speaking a little bit more to getting out of the pain or finding a better future. I think we've had some headlines that are like, move towards your ideal life. And that has worked really well, right? They are some copywriting to try and speak to your ideal client where they're at right now and try to move them, right? Sometimes it can be a bit of a slogan, not too cheesy, but grabbing their attention. The subheadline gives a little bit more specifics, therapy for women in Philadelphia, therapy for women and teens in Philadelphia, as an example. Other important things on this page, we like to have, and I highly, highly recommend, a professional photo. Okay. I feel like a broken record. And if this is the first video you've seen of me, you won't know how many times a day I say this to clinicians. Get really quality pictures. Again, this is something that people are going to judge you on a lot, and that's okay, right? Give them something good to judge you on. It's a very similar thing that we've seen. Anyone who's been on a dating app before will know that some people have good pictures and some people don't. If you don't put any effort into it, the reality is you'll get worse matches than if you put effort into it, right? Spend one day taking quality pictures and people will see you differently. I had this test a couple of weeks ago where I took a picture with this camera when the sun is just sort of setting around the horizon versus when it's really high in the sky and it's really bright, and my skin looks completely different, right? And I've showed it to people on my team and they say, wow, this person looks nice, the other one doesn't look very nice. It's just me 2 hours later. So there's so much that goes into having really great professional photos. Do that well, right? Do that well. And then we'll usually have a well-written bio. Again, there's a lot that I could say to this, but sometimes talking about your experience, sometimes conveying the message you want to talk to them. We provide high touch professional therapy, or I am motivated to help you. I'm motivated to help every single client reach their goals. I'm motivated to help you X, Y, and Z. There's a lot that we'll do within the bio to create something that's going to resonate with people, but also show that you're an expert in what you do. That's going to be here. And then within the page too, we'll usually have another paragraph or so, maybe some other photos that's going to speak a little bit more specifically to whatever people are searching for. Okay. So for example, if they're searching for EMDR therapy, I might have a paragraph here about EMDR therapy. As you can see, this is pretty simple. The key to this page is we want the colors to all fit together. We want good pictures, good image in this sort of background here. We need a good professional photo. Good writing. So this takes time, this takes skill to do. Once you build it once, usually you don't have to build it again, which is really, really, really amazing. At the bottom, we usually have a contact form. Usually it goes name, email, phone number, a message as well. Okay. Sometimes if you have another professional photo or fun photo of you smiling, then you can put that there. Okay, cool. That's our landing page. Right? What are we trying to do within our campaign? We're trying to get this conversion rate on the landing page to be greater than 5%, right? If we're at 10%, that is here's a thumbs up. We're really, really happy. If it's 15%, I mean, that's incredible. Okay. 10% on our landing pages is really good because it might cost us $5 to get a click, right? If 10% of our clicks actually turn into clients, all right, my camera shut off, so I recharged it. We're back. And what I was talking about was conversion rates on the landing page. I remember where I left off. We want to be at 5%. If we could be upwards of 10%, that's great. The whole point is if we're getting interested people to look at your stuff on your landing page, on your website, anything, we want to present the best possible message we can, the best possible pictures that we can, best possible branding we can. So a higher percentage of people want to take that step forward. Now, we don't want 100% of people because not everyone's a good fit. Your messaging is going to filter them out, but the better we can do, the better this is going to work. All right, so I'm just going to use a very basic example. If we did $5 for a cost per click, and sometimes it'll be higher, we got a 10% conversion rate, which is really good, then on average, it's going to be 5 divided by 0.10 would be $50 for a new inquiry. If you're following along so far, then we have to actually call them, contact them. There's a lot that goes into this system too. The biggest recommendations are going to be calling fast. If you want to build a great practice, you can't respond to people 7 days after they reach out to you. Okay. A lot of people are looking for help in the moment. And when they're looking for help is when you want to provide that help. Okay. You can't wait 7 days. And I'll also say sometimes, there's boundaries you can set in your practice, but as you're building up, you might want to call someone or at least text them on the weekend that, hey, you can do the consultation call on Monday, right? So you give somebody, pretty quick response whenever they reach out to you. Calling fast, and then I'm just going to say a sales process. Some people don't like the word sales, but the reality is all you're doing is having a structured conversation with somebody, right? And after you do this a lot, you're going to know, okay, what do people like? What questions do they have that I can answer up front so I can be super transparent with them? How do I talk about myself in a way that's going to resonate with people? It's also reflective of how I think about things. It's really important that you're able to paint a picture of how you work and you set proper expectations on this call. Okay. This is your opportunity. This is your first chance at meeting a potential client. If they're not a good fit, let them know. But if they are a good fit, set the relationship off to a great start. So this call is really, really important. I don't recommend outsourcing this part until you've maybe really gotten it down, or, if you want to experiment with going into a group practice. But even while my group practice owners, I say, answer the phone if you can, because it helps a lot. That would be the process on the phone, is getting back to them quickly and then running through a basic process, which would be intro, asking them some questions, giving them some insight onto how you work, and then offering that next step, which would be doing a session. And you can schedule with them on that call, tell them about your rate, make sure that everyone's aligned. Now, let's say we convert 50% of people, which is really good. A lot of people I work with will convert 1 out of 3 of these people that are interested into actual clients. And then we're getting a new client for $100 if it's 1 out of 2. Okay, so that would be our system, right? We're spending $5 to get a click from Google. We're getting a new client for 100. Now, if our conversion rate on our landing page is 5%, this number goes up to 200, right? If our cost per click goes down to 2.5, then this cost per new client would be $50. So these are all numbers we can play with, and we can try to make better within our system. We can keep reworking and refining the same system to make it better. But when we do so, the cool thing about it is we can send more and more people through this system, and we can completely fill our practice and keep it full. It's been really cool. We set up a lot of campaigns like this for clinicians last year, and I get to watch, because we're still linked to all their accounts. There's people we set up a year and a half ago, and so far this year, it's December 2024 as I'm recording this, they've gotten 150 inquiries over the course of this year. And that's really cool. It means that this system, for a couple $100 a month, is on the back end consistently feeding them clients, right? And just depending on how well they retain, how well they can kind of build out word of mouth, they're probably doing, over 100,000, upwards of that $200,000 range, depending on kind of how high their price is for their service. This is the system. All right, cool. That's advertising. Again, I could break it down to 100 layers of detail, but if you just know this, you go in and implement it, you're going to be able to have some real great success with this. Last piece, service. I just want to emphasize this as well, because anytime we talk about, making income in your practice, I think it's really important that we talk about being great at what you do. A lot of therapists we talk to have imposter syndrome. I also want to speak to that. What is imposter syndrome? It's when you maybe think that you're an imposter in the situation. You don't actually deserve what you're getting. Again, I spoke to price earlier in this video. It's just a made up number at the end of the day, right? Why your rent costs what it costs, why the government, charges what they charge for taxes. It's a lot of this it's based in principles, but it's kind of arbitrary. It's kind of made up. And in the same way, you can make up the situation you want for yourself, right? Now, again, base it in the facts and the market rate and whatever else. But if you have the same amount of experience and you're just as good of a clinician as that person down the street and they're charging 200, then why can't you? The reality is you can. You just gotta get out of your own way and do it a lot of times. But within that, if you want to make sure you sleep well at night, do the best quality work you can, right? Now that might mean not doing 35 sessions in a week so you can't give the right quality to each person, but be great at what you do. Okay. And that might mean going to consistent trainings. I'm going to say reading, just generally improving at what you do. If you're getting 1% better every single day, you're going to feel great about this. I will say for all of the clinicians that we've helped hit 200,000 a year or more, invariably, I think that they're really, really great therapists, right? They can tell me very explicitly sort of how they approach things, how they do it a little bit uniquely, how passionate they are for the work that they do. Okay. Do that. It's a lot of work, no matter what your rate is, to have a full-time caseload, to keep people, right, to help them reach outcomes in their life, to help them get out of their own way, takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of energy. And so if you don't love it, then maybe making $200,000 a year as a therapist isn't for you. But if you do, right, and you're good at what you do and you keep getting better at what you do and you're intentional about it, that's really, really part of this. I'm going to say another piece too. Part of service, just communication. Even when you're working with clients, having real clear systems for communication within the practice, being able to communicate with them at the pace that you want, right? New people that call in, calling them back quickly, even when the practice grows. I can't tell you how often I hear from therapists that get a new client that says, no one else called me back, right? I really believe in being a leader in your community and being someone who exemplifies what great looks like in every aspect of your business, right? This doesn't mean necessarily working harder. It just means having principles, having defined boundaries for your business, and sticking to them. It's one thing to hit 15,000 in a month one time. It's something else to consistently be at 15 to 20,000 a month, have clients always wanting to come in, being able to deliver a great service, and for everyone to be like, wow, they are on their stuff. Okay, that's what I want for you, just to make sure that, again, we're consistent throughout the whole thing. We have the right packaging, but the packaging is actually reflective of the product and service that we're delivering, right? And the advertising helps to match those two together. Okay, if we do all of these things, we can do $200,000 a year as a therapist. Again, I do want to make a disclaimer. It doesn't mean that anybody who's watching this video will, because you watched one video, but these are the systems that we've put in place that have helped people before. Okay. So if you're interested, if you want to work with us, there is going to obviously be a link in the bio that you can check out to learn a little bit more about exactly what we do and how we help therapists. This is essentially what we're doing. We do a lot more to help them with the mindset, to help them with organic marketing strategies as well. But if we could just pare it down, this is really all you need. Okay. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.